Go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
Find the perfect gift.
And wow the people you love.
Wow. This is amazing.
Whether you want to say happy birthday
So cute.
Or I love you.
I love you too. Thinking of you.
Wow.
Go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
Celebrate the people you love.
Hi, I'm Jim McCann, founder of 1-800-Flowers. I'm not satisfied when I learn something new unless I share it forward. And so we created this podcast to continue that, to share forward the wonderful people we get to meet and most importantly get to learn from and make our lives richer and better. Together we'll cover the human experience. And for me, the human experience is foundational in the idea of relationships. The topics will be far-reaching, but common element you'll see here is it's all about relationships. So I invite you to join us on this journey. Come experience it with us, share your thoughts and ideas, and become part of our community. We'd love to have you. So we have Phyllis Rabinowitz with us today. She's married to Andrew Rabinowitz, and we have a mutual connection in the Kroll family. And that's how I learned about your story and the work that you and Andrew are involved in here with the Our Baby Foundation. Tell me today, what is the Our Baby Foundation up to? What are you guys doing, and what's your mission here?
Sure. Well, I may as well give you a little background. First of all, thank you so much for covering us. I really appreciate it.
From what I know, I think what you're doing is remarkable.
Thank you. Our Baby Foundation was created over 16 years ago when, unfortunately, Andrew and our daughter, Rebecca Ava, passed away after 9 days old. She had really alarming symptoms when we brought her home from the hospital. Like, she was very lethargic. She wasn't feeding. She wasn't eating. She wasn't breathing well. She sounded like an 80-year-old man with asthma. It was a very alarming to us, so much that we rushed her to the emergency room. And we had an older child at the time that we had never taken to the emergency room. So just in our gut, we knew something was wrong. And unfortunately, when we went to the emergency room, they said, she's fine. It's just a common cold. We know a common cold when we see one. And we pleaded with them just because we kind of knew like something was wrong, and you kind of know as a parent, but we wanted to believe them, they're the experts. So we brought her home, and unfortunately she passed away the next day. So
Terrible.
She had an enteroviral infection, which can be deadly in infants that don't have the immune system that older children do. So we found that out through an autopsy. And what we learned through this experience is that not all emergency rooms are created equal. Not all emergency rooms have the same level of pediatric preparedness as far as training and equipment and supplies. So for example, in Rebecca's situation, some hospitals we spoke to after she passed would have readmitted her, even if she had a common cold, to give her supportive care. So there's just varying degrees of training of how to detect and diagnose a severe life-threatening virus in a baby. We just wanted to make sure this didn't happen to any other family, because it unfortunately was a preventable death. She could have been readmitted and treated. And so we started Our Baby Foundation to make sure every child gets the best possible emergency health care. And the letter R was named after her, Rebecca, but also to mean all of our children and babies, and to improve healthcare for.
That makes sense. How long ago did you start the foundation, Phyllis?
So that was over 16 years ago.
Wow. And the work you do today?
So what we do is we fund children's hospitals that are the experts that then train non-children's hospitals, because most children are actually seen in, non-children's hospitals.
Sure.
Actually, 85%. Yeah. So we are trying to make sure that every emergency room is prepared. Unfortunately, I think America has a D- rating for emergency room preparedness for children. It's around 69% preparedness versus don't all our children deserve 100% preparedness? And a lot of parents and caregivers don't know this. So we also not just fund better healthcare, but we also raise awareness for the cause.
I would never have guessed that was the case, and that's empirical data that's available, I assume, to say that 69% are not well prepared. It's unbelievable in this day and age.
I can actually send you, so we started a petition in the last couple weeks on change.org that has all of those statistics and resources. So you can see the facts, because we really want to educate parents and caregivers, because we need to demand the change from us as parents and caregivers, because a lot hasn't changed over the years. We're looking to not just make sure every emergency room is prepared, but we're looking to make sure that the EMS systems, from the 911 call to the ambulance to the ER care to the post-ER care, is all ready for children. That should be all pediatrics. It's our children's civil rights to have the same level of healthcare as adults. And yes, it is mind-blowing to me that people don't know this, but the medical community knows this.
Yes. And what's the biggest impediment to getting them all up to standard? Is it money? Is it attitude? Is it compliance? Is it what we measure improves, what we don't measure? What goes into the fact, do you think, that it's taking the unbelievable efforts of you and Andrew and the foundation, the Our Baby Foundation? You've made such progress, yet there's so much more to do. Why do you think it's, what are the impediments to you being faster and more impactful?
Well, I will say we're just like a little Band-Aid. I know that we've saved lives. I know that our training has improved healthcare for over 1 million children's healthcare a year. I know we're making an impact, but it's a small Band-Aid on a bigger problem. And it's not just Andrew and I and our foundation. There are a lot of pediatric emergency room physicians that have been advocating and trying to make change, and they're the experts. So they're not me. That's who we listen to, and that's who everyone should be listening to. I think the two biggest impediments have been, yes, funding, because children can't vote or speak for themselves. So a lot of times the hospital funding gets cut. And I also think the government, I think this needs to become more of a priority. And that is part of why we started this petition.
And we all know that all the hospitals, most all of the hospitals, are highly scrutinized, highly regulated, and highly rated, highly involved in different rating systems. I'm involved in a healthcare system here in New York, and we see the ratings all the time. So to the theory of everything that's measured is going to improve because people know you're watching, are there other metrics or measurements that should be looked at here that would help contribute to the rating of the hospitals or the emergency rooms?
Well, there's a lot of research recently that says if you have a pediatric care coordinator assigned to your emergency room, then your emergency room is more likely to be prepared for children. So that's one measure of metrics, just making sure there's a pediatric care coordinator, making sure all this happens. The basic pediatric supplies and equipment that are put out by EMSC, Emergency Medicine for Services for Children. It's a government organization that says what you need to be 100% prepared instead of 69% measure. It's kind of like one pediatric expert explained to me that it's like you wouldn't enter a plane unless the checklist of safety was all checked off. It's the same as an emergency room for children.
And I see that you've already raised a significant amount of money here. And that in and of itself is almost a full-time job in raising the funds necessary for you to have the capability as a foundation to have these impacts on hospitals and emergency rooms. And that's all over the country, or have you gone beyond the country?
It is all over the country. We're in like 1,000 hospitals, our training, but we have gone international, and a lot of our funding has done modules online that are in probably 30 countries. So I know we're making an impact, but again, we're a smaller part of a bigger problem. So I definitely encourage people to get involved and speak up for their emergency care for children.
There's no day like a birthday. It's a time to celebrate. Every year, every wish that brought you to this point. Wrapped in birthday love, toasting a future as bright as the moment before you. The best gift is each other.
So if a person's out there listening now and they live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they have children or grandchildren or just concerned about children, what should they be asking their local healthcare system, their local EMS teams, to know whether or not they're aware of the situation and to be comforted by the fact that they're properly equipped and prepared?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is they could talk to their pediatrician about where they recommend going in case of emergency. They can reach out to their local government we're trying to work with the New Jersey Health Commissioner to make change in our state. You can call your local emergency room, make sure they have a pediatric care coordinator. You can download our app at EMNet, Find ER now, and you can find the closest emergency room that's likely to be prepared for your child. There's a lot that people can do. But I think what the best advice that I can also give is listening to your parental gut and asking for that second or third opinion if you feel that something is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, we just went through in our family, our youngest grandbaby, who's was just over a year, suffered through seemed like 6, 7, 8 weeks of one thing after another. Ear infection turned into this, turned into upper respiratory. It just seemed to go, and you feel helpless. I see now that there are quite a few, though, pediatric doc in a box, walk-in healthcare providers. Has your experience been that they're better prepared because they're pediatric specialists?
In my personal experience, yes. I always ask credentials when I go in with my children.
And how old are your boys now? 3 of them, right?
Yes, I have a almost 13-year-old, almost 16-year-old, and a 19-year-old. So 3 teenagers.
Oh, you are right in the middle of it right now. And it seems to get more complicated when driving is involved.
Yes, I agree with that. Although my son's a very good driver.
Good. But it's an extra layer of worry, I guess, huh?
There is always worry with children, always. Yeah.
In terms of the work that you've done, I know that the work that you do with the Our Baby Foundation has caused several academic papers to be written, which are contributing to the group knowledge about the special needs of emergency and healthcare providers when they're dealing with young children. How did that come about, that you have so much research done in the area?
Well, so again, we fund like top pediatric experts that want to train and educate the broader emergency medical community, because a lot of doctors just don't see children that often, that frequently, that they don't feel as competent. So they're the experts. They're the ones that are doing all the research. So truly, our medical advisory board, the doctors that we fund their grants, they're the ones that are doing, all this research work. Again, we're just trying to catapult and
must make you feel good to know that your efforts are producing real science and real research that can be used here to help change, not only all make it up to a good standard, but even move it beyond standard with good academic research, especially the 55 papers that you guys have caused to be produced and appear in peer-reviewed medical journals. That's quite an accomplishment. What I'm amazed at, Phyllis, is that you and Andrew took this horrific experience in your life and decided to turn that grief, anger, all those emotions that you had, and turn that into an energy that would be used for good, for positive kinds of things. And I think there's such a lesson in there for all of us that we have choices to make when we're dealt a bad hand and we have a horrible situation we've confront or have experienced, to make the decision, either we're going to let that crush us and overwhelm us, or we're going to take that energy and redirect it in a different kind of way. What kind of process did you and Andrew go through to come to that conclusion?
I mean, it was an extremely difficult grieving process, but we did immediately start the foundation, like within weeks of her passing, because to be honest, we couldn't even understand that different hospitals had different protocols and that emergency rooms weren't equipped for children. We couldn't believe what we were reading and learning, that we just truly didn't want this tragedy to happen to another family. And it has given my daughter's life meaning and purpose. And I like to think she had a higher purpose, and she is saving lives and trying to make big change in our country and making sure that every child gets the best emergency health care. I mean, it's, we're trying to make sure everyone's aware of this cause and issue. So that's, again, why we really appreciate your support.
On the support front, what can we do to help you and Andrew and all the work that you're doing at Our Baby Foundation. What can we do to help?
You can share the cause and the issue and the statistics and the facts that are around.
So get the word out, push the education, push the information out so that people of all ages, but especially people who either have young children or conceivably will have young children soon, that they know what's going on, what the risks are, because I would not have expected the situation is, as I've now learned interacting with you and the Our Baby Foundation, to find out how many emergency medicine practitioners are ill-prepared, ill-equipped, and not knowledgeable enough to deal with young children.
It's not like their fault. It's the system. It's the systematic change we want to make sure that pediatrics is throughout the emergency medical system. So I think our petition that we just launched a couple of weeks ago really outlines the facts, the statistics. It can raise awareness. It can get people involved. They can sign. There's ways that they can get involved. I think that's the best thing to quickly do.
So if our community were interested, would they go to your website to find this information? Where would they get it?
Yes, our petition's on our website, or I actually forwarded Lisa. I think you work with her, the direct link. Yeah. So I forwarded her our direct link if that's easier for folks.
Good. We'll put it in the show notes for sure, because we want to do everything we can to help you to get the word out, help you to raise the money so that you have a bigger and quicker impact on this important subject. You know, we're coming up, Phyllis, now on Mother's Day, and here at the Flowers we do. It's an important holiday for us because there's so many moms that deserve a pat on the back, a special recognition, in some cases when appropriate, a gift. And I think we've started over the last year to realize that there are moms and there are amazing moms, and so many of our community are nominating people in their lives who think that the moms they know of are kind of extraordinary, and so we call them amazing moms. And you are an amazing mom. And the fact that you do this work, that you and your husband have committed so much of your energy and your intellect and your capability, and made it a mission to help change the system, as you just said, so that other parents don't have to go through what you went through, and have happy and healthy babies, because it's very fixable. It's right in front of us. And it takes a movement sometimes to get bureaucracies to move, systems to change. And you've created a movement. We're happy to jump on your bandwagon and do what we can to support you. So our applause is for you as an amazing mom, Phyllis Rabinowitz, and the work that you and Andrew do is just to be applauded and to be mimicked.
I really appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis, and thanks for being an amazing mom.
Thank you for having me on your podcast.
We put our heart into everything we do. We are farmers, bakers, florists, and makers who grow and create with a passion. 1-800-Flowers. Share with love.
Well, I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and I know I'll be sharing it forward. I hope you get to as well. Let's keep the conversation going. Follow me along on Twitter at Jim 1-800-Flowers and on LinkedIn at Jim McCann. Hope to talk to you soon.